Hey guys, it's Nicole Eaton with the Rock Your Soul book and podcast, where we talk about how to hack your mindset, grow your intuition, and live your best life. You can support this podcast by subscribing, leaving a positive review, and screenshot and sharing on social media. The following is an excerpt from Nicole's recent live video on her Rock Your Soul Facebook group. To join in on the fun, type in facebook.com/groups/rockyoursoulclarity. We are in new moon energy, which is some of my favorite energy because it is the energy of fresh starts. And March was a little funky. I'm curious if you guys thought that March was a little weird energetically. It felt kind of like things that had been progressing kind of came to a halt, or felt like we were getting blocked or met with a ton of resistance. And I think what March was meant to do was to help us clear things, to help us get clear on who it is we are, what it is we want, what our focus has been on and will be on, and maybe just also pulling up some stuff from the past that we needed to address in order to move forward and step into our best and highest selves. So we're in this new moon energy, we're in this fresh start energy, and for water signs specifically, and I can't speak for everybody, I'm a Cancer sun and Cancer sun and Cancer rising. I don't sleep with new moons. I don't know what it is. So if you didn't sleep last night, you're not the only one. There is a lot of cool, good energy, and we're going to use it to fuel our intentions. So today's a really good day to get clear within yourself of who you want to be. What does he or she do? What does he or she look like? How does he or she function in their relationships? Who are you at the core of it? Are the things that you're doing still working? I always think that's a good point. And I actually had I was listening to Green Lights, the audiobook by Matthew McConaughey. So fascinating. What a cool guy. But in it, he talks about there was a time where he ended up in this house and he had this maid. And his maid was pressing his jeans. And he's finally asked himself, do I even want my jeans pressed? Like, it's cool, it's a cool perk, but do I want my jeans pressed? Like, do I need my jeans pressed? And I think that's just an interesting question to ask yourself. Even the things that are normalized and part of your life, is it still good for you? Is this still something you want? Is this something that feels good and right and is working in a way that is making sense to you? Or is it just something that you do? I always talk about self-care in the sense of like, I think that you should schedule in self-care. I think that should be part of your schedule. But I think when we create too much ritual around what something has to look like, whether that's, okay, every day I meditate, maybe that day isn't built for meditation. Maybe that day is built for going for a walk. Maybe that day isn't built for calming down in a bubble bath. Maybe you need to run it out. So it's up to you to be in tune with yourself. And this is such a perfect time to get back in tune with yourself. I went on vacation last week. Sorry for being MIA. It was perfect, wonderful, and I needed it more than I even realized. But I went on vacation, and I also realized that while I love flexibility, I also crave routine. And so it's really important to come back. And yesterday I came back and it was just like, I need to recenter and I need to recommit to the things that are important to me. And one of the things I keep thinking about is like protecting your person, protecting your center. And I don't mean that in a way that's necessarily completely energetic. It's just like, how am I fueling this engine? Am I drinking enough water? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I eating enough fruits and veggies? Am I getting the right balance of nutrients? If I'm not, am I supplementing with something? Like, how am I fueling my body to become the best version of myself? If that's who I'm trying to be, if that's who I'm intending to be in my life, like, how am I doing that for me? How am I showing up every single day for me? How am I creating pockets of time that's just for me? And that's the key, I think, with self-care in general, is you have to be really intentional about creating pockets of time that help you and allow you to ask yourself those questions of, who do I want to be? What does she do? What does she look like? How does she interact? What's her energy like? One of the things that I was thinking about is when I was really little, I used to have an insane amount of energy. Like, my parents would always be like, oh, Nicole's bouncing off the wall. And over the last decade, I felt like a lower expression of that. Like I can bring that to an audience, I can bring that to live events, but when it comes to consistently maintaining my energy levels, that has been a struggle for me. So something that I've been really intentional about is thinking about, okay, what do I look like at my highest expression? My highest expression involves my energy levels being high and being consistently high. What are some of the things that fuels my energy levels? Asking yourself those questions of like, what do you look like when you're at your best? What do you do? What do you do differently? What do you say differently? How do you act differently? How do you speak? How do you think inside of your head? How does that narration go when you are in a good place? Are you more present in the moment? That's another key for me. When I'm present in the moment and I'm not so far in the future that I'm like missing everything, when I'm present in the moment, I feel most like myself. So your job as a designer of your life is to come back to who is it that I want to be? Because the person you are up until now is literally just that. It is the person you have been up to now. It is a culmination of your past experiences. And I always like to remind you, and you'll hear me say this 9,000 times over, that you do not have to be your past. Your past does not have to be you. Who you were, the shit you've been through, the stuff you've experienced is part of you. But it doesn't have to be the person that you continue to be in your future, because we can always redesign it, and we can always take parts of the highest expression of what we learned from those experiences and bring them into a new energy with us. So the other part of that is, as we take self-care, as we take note of ourselves, as we take inventory of who we want to be, we also get to decide to take our power back. I really want you to look at your life for any place that you are playing the victim. And that might be ways you don't even realize that you might be playing a victim to your time. Oh, I don't have enough time in the day. I don't have, I'm too old for that. Or, well, that never happened for me earlier, so it probably won't now. I want you to pay attention to the stories you're telling yourself about your potential. I want you to pay really close attention to the stories you're telling yourself about your perceived limitations, because those are the only things that are keeping you in place. Those are the only things stopping you from becoming the best version of yourself, is the stories you're telling yourself about why you can't do anything differently. I think a lot about potential, and I think a lot about how we don't know what we're capable of until we do it. And I always think about this, like, if you've ever given birth, this is like, you're just in the moment. You just want to stop because it's really awful. But there's gonna be something positive on the other side. But your body somehow endures, and your mind somehow overcomes what you're experiencing. And I think that's true for all cases, is that our potential is so above what we think we can do. And it's honestly those repetitive stories. So what would you need to tell yourself to allow something new to be true? What story would you have to believe about your potential, about what you're capable of, so that you can reach your goals and your highest potential? We're in a fresh energy. We are in an endless possibility energy. And there is this beautiful, natural, energetic momentum ready to sweep you up, but you need to be clear about who you are. And you need to be clear about what you want. And you need to be clear that the stuff and the bullshit stories you've told yourself are no longer true. You aren't the victim. You are the designer. And that's a whole different role, right? If we go from this end to this end, that's a whole different thing. And that also means that there's a world of opportunity at your fingertips if you choose it. And there's a world of things that can shift in an instant. And I think that's one of the most beautiful, magical things about the universe, is that it can shift like that. It can change in a second's notice. Everything in your life can change at a second notice. But it accepts the opportunity easier, and you receive the opportunity easier when you are taking care of your vessel, when you are taking care of everything that you came with, when you're fueling, when you're intentional, when you are coming back within yourself regularly. Because the thing is we get really addicted to thinking about everything but ourselves. And I know a lot of people are like, Nicole, it's kind of like narcissistic to just be thinking about yourself all the time. And I always say, I think about myself so I can be the best expression for everybody else. And so it's not selfish per se. it's intentional. I use my best self in my relationships. I use my best self with my kids. I show up as my best self to teach. I show up as my best self to share the knowledge and the things on my heart. If I don't take care of this and I come at you with this low ass energy, if I come at you with this edgy energy, which sometimes I do, right? It's not even going to be received the same because I filled up first. I meditated this morning, I worked out this morning, I ate a healthy breakfast, and I'm ready to go, and I feel most like myself. So I will say to you again, what is it that makes you feel like you? Where can you take your power back? Where can you take your responsibility back? Oh, I'm like missing all of these comments. Hi, friends. Crash and burn in March. Like a true phoenix, I'm rising from the ashes. Yes, I love it. I love it because the thing is like, I think we all crash and burn in March, if I'm being honest. I even had moments in March where I was like, I just need to slow down. And you know what? Sometimes the thing is like, we can get in a mindset of mentally pushing and our soul will be like, no. And even when I got back from vacation, I knew I needed to like get back into my workout programs because I like to move and I feel better when my energy is flowing through my body with ease and I'm moving, and that's the way I take care of my energy as I work out. So I knew that I needed to, but I knew some of the programs I had done in the past were way too much and way too strenuous on my body. And so sometimes it comes back to like listening. What do I need today? Where am I at today? What does it feel like for me to do this exercise or to think about doing this exercise? What does it feel like for me to eat this way? Let me tell you one thing I've learned. I cut out sugar for like 2 months. Honestly, one of the best things that I've done for myself, my mental clarity was most on point that it's ever been in my life. I would definitely identify as a sugar addict. I love candy. I love chocolate. It's my jam. So I did cut out sugar, almost kind of like as a willpower challenge. Like, can I do it? Can I not do it? And I was able to do it. But there are times where I've given myself permission to kind of flex on that. And I went off that trail on vacation, and I will say that I was thinking about, okay, no, you need to get back on track. And I'm like, is that something that's in alignment with me right now? Or is that something I'm forcing on myself that isn't in alignment with me, that I am making myself do for a particular reason or outcome? So it's always important to check in with yourself, even stuff you've done before, even stuff that you know you can do or felt good doing. You still have to check in this moment in time, in this moment in energy, is that still true for me? Am I still the person who needs that or is going to be best served from that in this moment? And maybe tomorrow I'll feel different. But in this moment and in the moment of March that we were just talking about, there is this energy of slowness. And sometimes we have to kind of feel into the energy around us and feel into the energy within us. And sometimes you just need to rest. And sometimes you just need to come in and nurture yourself. And only you can like feel through that and tell what that is. And only you can like decide that for yourself. And of course, we're always going to have blocks of like, I don't want to do it. But deep down, and that's our intuitive piece, right? Is deep down, we know what works for us. We know what feels good for us. If deep down you're still saying, not right now. Like I said, I've done 80-day obsession like 4 or 5 times, and I went to go do it yesterday, and I was like, I can't. There's just something in me that isn't ready for that or needs something a little different or lighter or softer, and I'm nurturing my soul in that way. So it's really important for you to work both with your energy inside of you and the energy outside of you to achieve your best self, to go after the things that are meant for you and right for you in this moment in time. And that's the other thing too, is I just keep thinking like everything is temporary. So if everything is temporary, then I know I can feel through and ebb and flow with the way my body is, the way my energy levels are. I actually read for women that your body is a different chemistry almost every day because of your hormones. And so I was thinking, okay, so if your body is pretty much every day a different person because it has a different chemical makeup, how do we force ourselves and have this crazy structure that we force upon ourselves? And so sometimes it's important to do it anyway, But sometimes it's also important to listen a little harder to what we're needing that day and find a flexible notion. That's why I was saying self-care is awesome and self-care is cool if you set it aside. But if you're forcing yourself to do something and inside you're like, no, 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 that defeats the whole purpose of self-care. It just like washes it down the drain, because self-care is meant to soothe, it's meant to calm, it's meant to quiet, and it's meant to go within. And anything that does that for you counts as self-care. So our jobs are to listen right now, to ask the questions, and to come back from all the external chaos, come back and use this energy wisely. It's good shit. It's good shit. You're going to want to use it. Use this energy wisely to say, okay, who am I? How do I want to show up? How do I want to show up in relationships? Who am I going to be? And are the things that are already happening a hell yes, or like, what am I doing here? Is the highest expression of myself still in this situation? Is the highest expression of myself still putting up with that shit? This is the energy of fresh starts. This is the energy of finding your voice. This is the energy of connecting with your freedom. So I'm setting my intention in this beautiful new moon for so much love for you guys, so much divine connection. Like, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel the universe so deeply right now. I feel like, and I don't feel like it's just me, I feel like everyone's kind of cracking open right now. There is an openness in the ethereal world to us where there was so much darkness for so long, and I just feel like there is a light cracking open in and around us. Our intuitions are on fire. Our knowings are like through the roof. I'm curious if that's true for you guys, so definitely like pop me a message. But like, the universe is ready to speak to us. Like, the question is, are you ready to listen? And one of the things that I always manifest is like, I'm ready to hear you. Like, speak louder, I'm listening. And I would encourage you all to set that intention for yourself, to hear yourself speak, to open your intuition, to allow yourself the chance to be the best version of you. Isn't it time? Aren't you sick of the shit you've been dealing with? Aren't you sick of the person that you've let yourself be over time, or decided yourself to be? And if you have been working all this time, kudos to you. But I even know for me, I go in and out and I ebb and flow with my own energy. But I think it's so important for you guys to come back in and listen. Another thing that coming back in really, really, really does is it detaches those energetic bonds that makes us all of the things that aren't us. So all the things we feel glued to or stuck to or tied to that aren't us, that aren't our souls speaking, everything around us, we kind of create energetic bonds with. So when we start to be so external, we only become other things. And we have to come back with it. And we have to pay attention. We have to listen. We have to show up for that little voice that says, here's how you do it differently. Here's some options for you, because I'll tell you, the nudge is strong when you come in. And I advocate for this all the time, but if you're feeling disconnected, hand over your heart, close your eyes, and just take a couple deep breaths and just say, I'm listening. Because your intuition wants to speak to you. It wants to show up for you. The universe wants to speak to you and wants to show up for you. And your only job is to learn how to listen. And that's like the big thing. The universe doesn't like skip out on speaking to somebody. It's just the confidence in trusting it. And I swear to you, like, that's it. If you can develop the confidence of like, no, I know the universe is real and I know it's supporting me and I know it's speaking to me. If you can develop the confidence to say, no, I know, and I know that it's speaking more clearly every day, and I'm hearing it more clearly and louder every day, and I feel so divinely guided, and I feel so divinely supported. And if you start to incorporate those words into your language, you will see nothing but magic. I promise you that. I went to the ocean this weekend, or this past week, and I'm not kidding you, I must have saw like 30 dolphins. And I was so freaking, I love animals, so like this was total magic, but we were just in this teal blue water, dolphins everywhere on the most perfect day. And it was just this moment of like, yes, the universe does exist. So have those moments. Look for those moments. I'm just going to check comments really quick. Oh, you feel it too, Misty? I'm so, so glad. God, isn't it a good feeling? I was actually in kind of a weird energy space the other day. And I felt like there was just a lot of heavy energy, and I closed my eyes and I just felt so lit up. Like I was just so divinely protected. My energy was so divinely protected, and I wasn't like trying, I wasn't working at it. And so I think right now, like I said, light workers are at a little bit of an advantage because I think the universe just has our back right now. So let's take this momentum, take our beautiful divine energy, and run with it. Thank you so much for listening to the Rock Your Soul book and podcast. Take a moment to book a one-on-one session with me or purchase my trainings at NicoleEaton.com. Join the Rock Your Soul Facebook group or follow me on Instagram at NicoleEaton.xo. And if you loved this podcast, don't forget to share it. Thank you.